So, welcome everyone to yet another edition of the Element series with me, Vayjayanti Pugalia, the founder of Sonalis Cubo. And before I introduce the very dynamic and a very interesting woman today, I would like to tell you a story. Now, I know it's not my job here, but that's what Nerissa is here to guide us on, because today's topic is all about how we can use storytelling in our business, and I'm sure to impress everyone on our in our daily lives, in between our relations. So yes, before I say the story, I would like to quickly welcome Nerissa Golden. So Nerissa, welcome to my show. And thank you for joining from the beautiful island, right? It's a beautiful island, Montserrat. Is it that, or is it something different? Which because a lot of people have been messaging me, Nerissa, to want to know about this particular place that you origin from, and I would like a little more detail from you coming on the topic later. But firstly, as an author, as a mother, as an editor, as a media person, as an awesome storyteller, welcome to my show, Nerissa.
Thank you so much for having me. Let me take a shot at your name. It's Vayjayanti. Did I
Very
get it right?
good. And she is
Oh,
absolutely bang on with that. And she's got my name correct, Vayjayanti. That's absolutely correct, Nerissa. And thank you so much for being with me today. And yes, and to begin my story, Nerissa, here it goes. Once upon a time, on the platform of the King's Cross station, there was this beautiful young English teacher. And she had an idea for a story. And over the years, she spent her life developing a book around the same. But life wasn't too kind with her. So she struggled and she struggled, but she barely could survive and make money to sustain life for herself and her child, let alone get her book published. She was rejected by more than, let's say, 12 publishers, in her lifetime. And probably after a decade, she was able to persuade and impress a publisher. And then her book got developed into 7 books, which sold over 400 million copies in 200 different countries. And yes, viewers, if you know whom I'm talking about, I'm talking the first billionaire author, J.K. Rowling. And this is all about her story, about how storytelling just took her on this beautiful journey in her life, and where she came, with all her dreams, not letting it go. Because you and me think that storytelling is just limited to bedtime or to cinema or to movies or to grandma or to grandkids and maybe just bragging. But storytelling is more than that. I think there's a lot of work which we can, do around storytelling. And to discuss all about that with me today, I have Nerissa Golden. And to introduce her will take me a lifetime, because she is a phenomenal lady. But yes, she is a founder and editor of Montserrat's top digital travel and information platform, Discover Montserrat. She is, in 2016 Pitch IT Caribbean winner. And she is on many advisory boards. She is in the board of directors of the Montserrat Arts Council. She is a very engaging Caribbean storytelling, and she encourages the women, around the same. And she is one of the 31 celebrated Caribbean women to watch in 2016. So I can go on and on, and she's a fabulous author. So yes, I would like to begin today's discussion by asking Nerissa, how do you wear so many hats? And how do you keep yourself uh, so uptoed about everything? And yes, over to you, Nerissa. And my first question, as I asked you, how are you able to accomplish all this?
well, first of all, thank you again for having me, and thank you everyone for joining. I believe, before all of this started, my vision, even as a young girl, was that I always saw that my children would be around me as I grew up. I never saw them separate to me. So I have actually built my life and my business around raising my children. The work kind of fit in between whatever they needed. So that was always the approach that I had. That meant that there were a lot of opportunities I could say no to, but then it also guided the things I could say yes to, as long as they could physically be with me, because I wanted to, really be a part of raising them. So entrepreneurship was a natural fit, because then I could bring my children to work with me because we're working from home or wherever we happen to be. So I think the one common thread that most people would tell you about me is that if you see me, you're going to see at least one of my kids with me, because someone's always around.
That's
Now they're much older. They're 20, they're 20, 18, 17, and 15, I think. And so they're a lot older, but they don't need me in the same way. And the good thing is they are now part of my team. So they actually work for the company or just help out in different ways. So it's good stuff. And I think that is what really guides how I am able to do my work, is that I try not to beat myself up if I don't get stuff done, because you're a parent first. And then learn to be very adaptive. Might mean lots of late nights or early mornings, but that's just what you do because you have to get it done. So I believe in delayed gratification. There are things that I can't have now. And I teach my children the same thing, but it's worth working towards. And the day will come when you do see all of the hard work paying off.
That's awesome, Nerissa. So, Nerissa, if I have to ask you, would you like to tell the viewers, firstly, you have written, I think, nearly 7 books, if I'm correct. So, would you like to tell about your journey as an author?
Well, the first thing the first memory I have about books is chasing down the library bus about 5 or 6 years old. And my sister and I would jump on the bus really early down at the bottom of the hill, jump on so we could read a book. And then by the time it got to the top of the hill, which is where we lived, we would get fresh books, because by that time we'd already read 1 or 2 books. So from a very early age, I always knew I wanted to be a writer. And the first thing that I was ever published in was a book when we lived in the British Virgin Islands. It was a play called Emancipation. And so when I was about 10 or 11 at that point. So it's always been part of my desire to be a published author. And then funny enough, by the time I did get around to writing, I was just too intimidated by it, because I looked at, you see all the big authors and everybody's got a publisher and everybody's got 3 and 5 and all these book deals, and here was I in a small little island not able to do that. And that really stunted my process for a long time, because I thought I needed to have these things in place. But then when I realized that, the one job I had was to write. God said write, he didn't say publish. And so I began to write.
And we love what you just said.
Yes, and wouldn't you know that by the time I've finished writing and it's time to share it, there is Lulu and Amazon and all these platforms that you could do print on demand. I actually published 2 books at the same time when I first began. Mm-hmm. And they didn't cost me anything but the time it took to write, because I bartered photography services for the cover of my photos on the cover design. You upload them for free, there was no cost to me. So suddenly that barrier that had been stopping me for a long time had literally disappeared. And that's the beautiful thing about storytelling today, is that the gatekeepers have gone. We can be our own storytellers. We don't need anyone's permission to do that now. And that's what makes it so awesome to do this work.
That's awesome, and a very beautiful way to say, Nerissa, that you just concentrated on writing and not publishing. So your first goal was to express and write. So if we just start about today's main topic of communication, which happens to be your forte, which is getting around your business through, a storytelling. But may I begin by asking you, according to you, what is communication? Is there a difference between communication and inspiration? How do we inspire people to work with us? Or is it communicate people to work with us? Can you say something on that?
Okay. First of all, communication simply is the transaction that happens when we share information. And for that to happen, you need to be speaking or connecting with more than one person. It has to be at least one other person. And for the communication to be successful, you have to be able to understand what I've said to you.
Right.
It would be as if I was speaking French and you were speaking English, and I'm just rambling in French and I'm not caring whether you can understand me or not.
Right.
So for communication to happen, we do need to have a connection that will allow us to interpret what each other is saying.
True.
That's the first thing. Um, Inspiration now becomes the activity or the thing that I desire to do with my communication, which is to get you to take an action. So hopefully my words will inspire you to start to write, to go live on Facebook, to start a business, whatever it is. But I'm using the tool of communication to inspire.
That's very rightly said. So if I have to ask you that, how can an entrepreneur, or can influence its listeners? So as you know that uh, I should not just say entrepreneurs also, even the people who are in the service industry, there's always a very strong competition, and you have to, sort of run in this race to impress. So if I have to ask you, how can you guide us about an entrepreneur or someone in a service industry use this tool to impress?
Well, I think I'm going to ask you to first to remove the word impress. Don't focus on trying to impress somebody, because then the first thing you're going to do is want to become something that you think they need you to be.
Oh,
The thing about social media and all of these different forms is that it's requiring us to actually be authentic, to be our best self. It doesn't mean that you have to show me the worst parts of yourself, but it does mean you need to at least be honest in how you connect with me. You see a lot of people who might post big images of fancy houses and cars and operate as if they live in the fancy house and the car and the flying around on jets. You
right,
don't have to do that. You can actually show me your journey to get to the fancy house and car, or whatever that process is. Whether you're a company or an entrepreneur that's just starting out, the tool of storytelling is an important one. And we do it, all of us do it every day, whether we know it or not. Your child is going to do it as a reason to get you to talk you out of not punishing them for something, or to give them an extra cookie. They're going to come up with something creative to get what they want, and it's
right.
the same thing. So you have to decide what is your intention with the communication.
Mhm.
Let's say, for instance, you're a small entrepreneur and you are trying to let people know about your business. You need to decide, it's always important to identify who the ideal customer is. Don't think everybody is your customer. You need to know who, as we say, create a customer avatar. Who is this person? Are you creating products for young men under the age of 20, or are it's older men over 50? Is it single women, single moms, young professionals, um, young families? What is your goal? When you identify who this person is, then you design your stories and your communication around speaking to this one person. Don't try to be a one size fits all sort of storyteller. Identify clearly who you know needs the product or service that you offer, and then you craft the story for them. It's the same thing if you're a big company. You need to know who is your solution for, and then make sure that every commercial, every photo is something that you believe will inspire this one person to take action and buy your product.
So there's this very precise question which is coming to me from one of the viewers, where he's asking that how can storytelling build, the perspective of a startup forward? Because a startup has no story of experience, but it has a story of ideation. So how does a startup work in terms of executing storytelling?
Oh, really brilliant question. Again, that startup was created because they wanted to solve a problem. So clearly they saw a need in the market and they said, we need to do this. So speak to the problem that you're solving. You could spend, first of all, let me just say, storytelling is a long game strategy for business. It's not something you're going to do today and get results tomorrow. It's a long game that you're playing because you want to build up your expertise and visibility in the area. So for a startup, you have the story of the person or the people that need the product that you are offering. And you are going to consistently show us who these people are. Whether it's your fictitious avatar that you've created, tell us stories about the life of this person and why this person needs this product. If it is, let's say for instance, it's an environmental issue in your area and you've come up with a solution for it. You can tell us what's the situation in the area. Remind us of why this is a problem. Give us statistics, whether has there been losses of life? Have we seen people being exploited because of it? And what are the answers that you are bringing and adding to the conversation? Often startups and just even solopreneurs feel very intimidated because they're coming into a space, there are other people in the space, other professionals, and they're like, how do I stand out? You need to just stand out by adding your voice to the conversation. You know, begin to share your perspective. You don't need to be a copycat and say what other people are saying, because clearly you joined the conversation because you see an opportunity to bring something different. So it's okay to be different and tell us that story. Tell us the story of the team members. What led you to seeing this as a problem? Is it something in your life that was a catalyst? Did you move across the country, across the planet? Did COVID happen and you suddenly see that, you know, jobs disappeared and you had to do something? So give us the whys of it, and all of these are parts of the story, and you just keep doing it consistently. Just tell us little pieces at a time. Bring us into bring us into your world chapter by chapter.
Brilliant. So Nerissa, if I have to ask you, which actually falls in the space of my next question, that you did explain about how you build the thread around your thought process as to why you made a product. Who is your reach? How will it solve the problem? Why did you particularly needed to create what you are selling or you want to give your service to? So if I have to ask you the otherwise as to what you should not be doing, which does not fall as a part of the storytelling, and or probably is a usual mundane process which people are following, and they don't know the art of communicating, as you said, the communicating the inspiration in the communication. So the do's and don'ts of storytelling. So do's, you did tell us. What are the don'ts?
Okay, well, let me say it this way. Think of your storytelling like an action movie. So you've got to have a hero, you've got to have a villain, and you have to have a journey that the hero has to go on, because in the end, he's got to win the girl, he's got to save the nation, whatever it is that has to happen. So you are going to make your customer the hero, except they don't know they're the hero yet. The villain, the bad guy, is going to be the problem that they have. And you are going to be the wise shaman that they're going to come to for counsel to say, how do I win the girl? How do I save the nation? And you're going to say, well, here's this solution that, you know, take this green pill or whatever it is, depending on what movie you're taking them into. So you've got to take them on a journey and to show them why their life is going to be empowered by it. It's very easy to make it all about me, but you actually got to make it about them. Oh. How are you going to change their life by, how is the product going to change their life and allow them to achieve their goal? Be the hero in their own life. So for me, that would be my big don't make it about yourself, make it about the person and the company, the service that you're providing to people. That
That's
would be my big don't.
No, I think that's a very, very big don't, because it's usually we are concentrating in promoting us, and we totally forget the focus, which is the need of the client or the spectator or the audience in the front, as to what our target audience is, and then we are here to actually solve their problem. And I like the way you say not to use the word impress, because then the focus shifts from what you just want to say and something that you probably are making too much, or you're trying too hard to impress, and then you lose the originality. So that's where there's another continuation to this viewer's question, where he's asking that sometimes it happens that the communication goes all wrong, between with two relations, or with the companies, or wherever you are communicating with. So it goes very awry, it goes very weird, it goes like very so can a storytelling undo that? How can we create positivity around the damage? How do we do the damage control?
Well, first thing is to say, hey, we screwed up. A lot of people don't like to do that, but it's really important to say, hi, we got this wrong. We really thought we were offering Z, but you got A. And this is what we're doing to rectify it. Because in fact, in the process, and because you told us that this didn't work, we have now created an even better solution for the problem. But it's important for us to say, yes, we didn't get it right, and this is what we are doing around it. I think there are people who, you don't need to show this level of perfection as if it's impossible. If you look at what's happening currently with the Black Lives Movement and different companies being put on blast for not actually considering the diversity of their makeup, there's an opportunity there for them to say, hey, we thought we were helping, but we realized we haven't been. So these are the things that we are doing to improve, so that we can learn, so that we can do better. I think that's an important part of the process. Yes, you might want to be fearful of liability and things like that, but so get a lawyer if you think that your problem is that severe. But definitely, you can craft a story to show the problem and how you've actually evolved and improved your product or service because of the mess up.
I think that's a very wise thought, because it's okay to make mistake, and we are not like gods or perfectionists here. We can make mistake, but instead of quarreling with your customer or quarreling with the person in front, it is okay to make the person in front be feel empowered, or have the rightest hand, and say, okay, you are right, and yes, I have made a mistake, and I would, as I love the way you said that we are coming up with a better solution. So that way you are giving a future to your client to look out to something positive coming in their way. So Nerissa, can you, like, from your past experience with in any workshops or with your clients, if you can tell us or share with us any change that took place in the scenario of the client, or anyone in your life whom you know, that how storytelling actually helped that person, any real time experience, a story that you can share with us.
Okay, first, let me just add on to what you were saying. Remember now that everything is really happening in social media and real time.
Yeah.
So often your customer is going to be commenting on your Facebook post, your Instagram. They give you a bad review on TripAdvisor or some of the other platform. So the whole world has seen that you got a bad review. That is not the time to be cussing them out and telling them, you just didn't know how to use our product. It really is another opportunity for you to actually sell to them and sell to the people who are watching how
Right.
you manage
So
that
how do you do
situation.
that? How do you go now that you've become so public? The person has made your sort of the loose end so public. How do you cater to that then?
You simply say the same thing. I'm sorry that you were displeased with our product. Please write us at this email because we'd love to offer to make you an offer, at a, whatever whether it's a refund or you want them to try to be the first one to try the next version. You can do that. You can actually say, hi, sorry it didn't work out for you. We actually, because of your the situation, we've taken a second look and we would love to give you the first opportunity to try the new version. But again, people are going to be watching your response, so that will you want them to see that you actually have tried to resolve the situation and improve on that person's complaint. So as it relates to your question, I think one of the best examples I can think of that is probably one of my first clients, Hammer Films, Antigua. And I met them over, wow, it's going to be more than 10 years ago that we first met, but it's been about 10 years since I've been working with them. And they're the first indigenous film company in the Eastern Caribbean. I loved their work and I thought, more people should be seeing them. And so I began to work with them just to tell their stories about what movies they were making, how they made their movies on such little budgets, what events they had coming up where you could see them, and also positioning them as experts in Caribbean film and talking about the filmmaking process from our perspective, because it's totally different from Bollywood and Hollywood and everything. We've had to create our own way, and they had a specific strategy about how they went about doing that. So my job was just to consistently be sure that they remain visible, because again, they're focused on filmmaking and storytelling. They just don't have the time to be the ones, talking about themselves. So that's what I tend to do for companies. And because of that, they've been able to get lots more invitations to go to film festivals in different parts of the world. One of their first film is now archived with the TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival archive of films, and it's just opened more opportunities for them to tell stories and to be able to share what they do. So again, it's a long game sort of strategy. Yes, nobody wants to wait 10 years, but you're talking over time, your credibility is just going to be built because you're consistently showing up. And if I Googled you today and I Googled you 6 months from now, I really should see much more content than I did see today. And that's what you want. You want to be consistently visible in whatever your area of expertise is.
So I have this interesting question. As you just pointed out, because of the times that we are in, this is a digital era. Every visibility, every sale, every connection that we are building now is over the internet. So I would not limit this question just to presentations, but also to your visibility in your respective footprints and DNA in the form of your Facebook account or your LinkedIn account or your Instagram account. Each account, as I know, has to say again a story to build the right connection. What is your advice to people about your personal profiles on social media? Again, there's a lot of confusion. People post pictures, they post their bio with their credibility of their education, the work that they are doing, but still it does not create that footfall, that reach that they should. So what do you think is wrong happening here, or how does one build that attraction, or say the story well?
Wow. All right. So I think you have to be very clear about what your intentions are. So if you are looking for work, I would expect that you would be on a platform like LinkedIn because you're looking for somebody to hire you. And LinkedIn is right now has a lots of visibility for people to be on, especially for professionals, whether you're looking for work or you're looking to hire someone. So it would be, sometimes it's about the location where you are, depending on what it is you're trying to achieve.
Right.
When you're on LinkedIn, I don't expect to necessarily see lots of pictures of your cat or your dog. If you happen to be working, because we're all working from home, and your dog happens to walk in and see you, that's a cool picture. I don't mind seeing that on your LinkedIn profile. but you do want to present yourself as much more of a professional, or at least engaged in whatever your work is. Maybe your work is not sitting at a desk doing live webinars. Maybe you're active out in the field. So let's see your life in action. And that works for any platform that you are on. I think that once you know what your intention is, so if you're looking for work, then the information you're sharing is different. And it's quite okay to say, hi, I'm out of a job, I'm looking for work. I would love if you would take a look at my resume to see how I can improve it. You
Right.
know, and you let people know I'm looking for work in these particular areas.
Right.
If you were trying to gain clients, again, show us past work that you've done. Tell us the problem that you're solving, and you just have to be consistent about doing that. Often we think because nobody liked our video or liked our post that they didn't see it. That's not true. They probably saw it, but they need to see it about 10 or 20 more times before
Right.
they engage, because we see stuff all the time, you know, but we're not connecting with it yet. So you have to show up repeatedly so that I see that you're in this business and that you're serious. And then maybe, and one day it's going to come, I'm going to engage with you because I recognize you've been consistently serving in this area. And I
Right.
want to know more about you and the things that you're doing. So consistency is the thing. It's not giving up because you think you didn't do it right.
Mhm.
It's you keep at it. You keep at it.
Yes, I think that's very rightly said. First of all, knowing as to where you want to be, and then again, as you say, lengthening your story, telling people exactly what you need, or you can give again, which is like a story of our lives. So, you have been a content creator as well, and you are, you're in this business from such a long time. So, as a content creator, because just having the accounts is not enough. As a storyteller, which happens to be one of your fortes, whether you are doing that in the form of a author, an editor, again as a content writer. So what can you tell us about your journey as a content writer? What are the focus that you always keep in mind when you are branding about a client, or otherwise, what do you have to say about content writing?
Ooh. All right. It's part of my job is to figure out how to translate the message to the people that they want to reach. Um, Currently, we're just wrapping up my company, Golden Media. We're just wrapping up some production on some public service announcement that we've done for UNICEF and the Ministry of Education around positive discipline. And we have to figure out how to get these tips about positive discipline into the language and expressed in a way that a young parent could understand. So we created 4 PSAs and some radio ads that they're going to be launched shortly to tell this story. So it really is about figuring out again who they need to reach, and then figuring out what would be the best methodology to to spread this message for them. We have so many different options to do that now. It's not just video or audio. There are people who tell great stories with photos, with their art, with their music. So it's really limitless. And I think it's about understanding who needs to connect with that the most, and then also doing that. I will also say that it's really important that you be comfortable in on the platform or in the space that you are in. So for instance, we're here on Facebook, and Facebook is still the most popular platform in the world across all age groups. Yes, the Gen Zs are now moving on to TikTok and stuff like that, but you do still have a lot of overlap in terms of ages of people. So it's a great platform to work. It takes a lot more work these days to get visible on it.
Right.
So it's important that you are comfortable in the space. So if there are people who are great on Twitter, you know, who can just come up with the perfect witty ass little quotes or
Yeah,
inspiration.
I sometimes
And I
wonder,
mean, Twitter is an art.
yeah, actually, those one-liners which totally, starts the tweaking starts there. I just wonder how they're able to get that perfect line. Just that one line actually creates so much of interactions, and tabloids, so much things happens around it, Nerissa. Maybe one day I really want to experience that my one line has created a sensation somewhere, because yeah, you are right. Sometimes that's an art, as you say. Even that one line can be a full story, right, Nerissa?
Yes. But I think you'd know that if you went and checked, you'd probably find hundreds or thousands of tweets that that person wrote before that one line ever went viral.
Right.
So it's about being consistent in what you are doing,
Right.
and not to give up because you think you're not getting the engagement that you want, or seeing the impact that you think you should be having. All of this is a long game strategy. If you're really looking for a quick fix, you're probably better off taking a ton of Facebook ads, walking around your community and handing out flyers, cold calling people on the phone. Storytelling is a long game plan. It's not something that's going to give you immediate results, but it will have more long-term impact when you do it well.
Right. So, Nerissa, I have this beautiful question coming from this friend of mine who herself is a writer, and she also does content writing, and she's an author, blogger. She asks you, sometimes in the profession, you approached by a client, a brand, and you're supposed to do the content writing for that particular brand, to encourage people to buy the product of that particular company. But sometimes you just don't agree with the hots, or the entire the way it is, the story. Maybe sometimes your story does not resonate with the story of the brand, or the company who's wanting to employ you. Then what do you do?
Personally, I say no, because writing is so personal to me. Even if the client is paying me, it's still my words, it's still my inspiration. So I am very selective about who I choose to write for, simply because I know if my name's going to be on it, or if one day I know I'm going to be able to tell somebody, I worked on that contract. I want to be proud of it.
Awesome.
So sometimes it's okay to walk away if your personal beliefs don't align with the brand and the products that you're serving. If it's not a personal conscience issue, if you think maybe they're going about it wrong, be able to, you can tell them, you say, I don't think this is the right approach, in terms of, I can see this probably biting you in the butt in 6 months, or I don't see this having much longevity, because I believe that you are not set up yet to actually deliver on that promise. It's okay to look at the fullness of the work and just do that. Because for me, I do a lot more than just write. I am also a strategist. So I do work with the company to look at the fullness of their products, their services, and says, okay, if I write this piece and I say, go visit their website, is your website ready? Because I'll go check their website and I'll say, oh, your website's not ready,
Yeah.
or it's going to say that you're not serious about this, so clean it up first. Because I have Discover Montserrat, so I have different platforms that if I write and say, go check it out, people are going to click. I want that when they click, they feel Nerissa did the right thing. They can trust that Nerissa's words are actually truthful, and that I delivered on the promise, that if you clicked on this, you are going to get good information. So that's important to me. My integrity is at stake as well. So I'm very, so I can say no to a project, even if it's got good money, simply because my integrity is more important to me.
Yes, and integrity is important. So I'm sure you got the answer there. And yes, again, a very important question which I wanted to ask you, which happens to be my forte as well, because you won the 216 Pitch IT Caribbean winner, and I won this year in Kolkata, in my city. There was a pitching session by Women Ovata, and I won the first prize in that. And in May, we were supposed to have the nationals in Delhi, if you heard about the city Delhi in India, but because of the COVID, everything just went haywire. So this is a very interesting question which I want to ask you, Nerissa. Please tell us some tips about correct pitching, because we have limited time. Like I got 60 seconds, and in 60 seconds I had to tell my whole story. And I have never pitched in my life. I just happened to be there that day, and my name was there, and I wanted to so very much just duck under my bag, which happened to be a good tote bag, and I was lucky I was carrying a tote bag that day, and I could dutch under it and actually go. But I did not, because I told myself, no, it's all right. If I don't win, it's fine. At least I will know how others are pitching. And
Right.
yes, and I did, and I'm very thankful to the judges. I won the first prize in my social entrepreneurial category. Nerissa, I have no idea, my love, how I did it. I just did it. But today I want to listen from another winner as to what are the conscious points to keep in mind when we are pitching in front of investors, or we are pitching for collaboration, or we are pitching for anything which is going to add positivity to our work. How do we do that? I've done my pitching in love, so I can't ask you for that. I am married for 23 years and I have two beautiful children again. So that part is gone. So no pitching in love, but the rest of the stuff. Yeah.
Well, when I pitched in 2016, it was quite impulsive as well. And I think I had about less than 24 hours to submit my pitch. And so it was kind of cool to win. I mean, to get selected to go through the process. And I did it simply because again, I work a lot with entrepreneurs. I wanted to understand what pitching was from
Yeah.
the inside. It's
True.
one thing to sit outside and judge and say, oh, your pitch isn't good. But
True.
when you're inside and you've got to figure out how to get your story right in such a short period of time, it's really important to
True.
know the work. So again, your story is critical. We've talked all about these things. It's the same thing. You've got to know what what the problem is. Who has this problem, and what is the solution you have to the problem? Your investor is going to want to know how much is it going to cost to get this problem solved, and how much are they going to make if they invest in your business.
Right.
You need to have data to back it up, so you could see, okay, it's not just the two people on down at the end of my street who have this problem. This is actually a problem in my community, my island, my country. All Asian people have it. Everybody on the western side of the world have this crisis. You have to be able to give us data to show why this is going to be an investment that they can make and that they're going to see returns. Often one of the things that we do is that we think we want to just appeal to, oh, you know, I come from a small little island and we don't have much. We've had a volcano and so things are really bad and I need you to give me the money. No. Tell me what's in it for me. I'm the investor. I want to know, how am I going to make some money on this? So whether you have 60 seconds, or I think in our case, we had 3 minutes or 5. I think we had 3, and then you had 2 minutes of questions. You have to be able to tighten up your story. So you're going to write out your story. You're going to time it. You're going to practice saying it over and over, and you're going to see how you could refine it. So you can open with a cute little line like, imagine what life would be like if we all had free internet. That could be your opening line. And immediately everybody's looking, free internet, where do I go? Sign me up. And then you're going to get into the fact that 2 billion people in the world don't have access to internet. And we've created a solution that can bring internet to these people. So then I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to make money if it's free to them? And then you're going to talk through where the money is in the process, what it's going to take for them to set it up, and how soon I'm going to be able to see returns on my money if I invest in you. So you keep it really tight. Give me a nice, sexy opening line to perk me up, and because I'm like, oh gosh, one more pitch. What are we going to hear today?
Yeah, right.
So make me perk up, you know, and then tell me what the problem is. Tell me how you're going to fix it, how much it's going to cost me, and then how much money I'm going to make from it. And who is the team? It's very important that you also showcase that you have a team working on it, because nobody wants to invest in a company of one. They actually want to see that you already have a team that's supporting you. If you have an MVP, a minimum viable product, to show them as well that they can test out and try it out. That is also helpful as well when you're pitching.
That is awesome, Nerissa, because I think viewers, the best thing which I liked about Nerissa was that in your story, you have a hero and you have a villain, and then you have a plan as to how the hero is going to go around, making ways for the villain or the evil to go away and save the woman of his dreams, like maybe like a Batman movie or a wonderful Bollywood movie. I don't know how far, Nerissa, you know about the Bollywood films, but the art of a
Yes.
storyteller, yeah. So the art of a storyteller is to build characters with which people can relate to, the ones who are listening. They are like, they are real, they are not magnified, which appears to be fake, and there goes down your pitch, there goes down your presentation where people cannot relate to. So you actually have to build the circumstances which probably you are living or have lived or want to live, which is, as Nerissa very rightly said, that you back up with with very consistent data. And then again, all that she talked about, building your presentation, your profiles on the social media, which happens to be the need of the hour, knowing as to who your target audience is, and then building your content and building your your profile around the same, knowing whom you want to communicate with inspiration. I would not use the word impress anymore, because she corrected me that whenever we try to impress, we are trying too hard. So we should just lay out our story, and if they get impressed on the way, it's absolutely fine, because we can never kill storytelling, because if there are humans, there are stories. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's in our
Absolutely.
blood,
Yeah.
it's in our DNA. We come from any country, any part of the globe, black or white, short or tall, fat or thin. As long as you're a human, you will have a story to tell. What is important is how you tell, so you have more ears to listen. And that's when Nerissa comes in. And if you want to connect with her and know more about Nerissa Golden, you can reach out to her on nerissagolden.com, right, Nerissa?
Yes, that's the best place to reach me.
Right.
And right now, if you sign up for the Storytellers Insights newsletter, you're going to be able to get a free ebook. I have just created an ebook. It's called How to Quit Your Job Before Your Job Quits You. And
Oh, that's
basically, it's some
fine. Viewers,
strategies.
now that's very important. And can they find this up on your website?
Yes, if you sign up for the newsletter, the book, the ebook's going to come to you, because I want people to know that they need to have a strategy right now, and there's no need to panic. They don't need to be afraid, and it's just about reframing how you're thinking and your plan, so that you can make sure that you're valuable and attractive in your own right. Whether a company wants to hire you or not, you can actually hire yourself.
That's beautiful, Nerissa. So viewers, you can reach out to Nerissa on nerissagolden.com and get that ebook. And I'm sure that's going to be very engaging and helpful to you. Otherwise, she's there on Facebook and Instagram as well, but the right place to connect with her and read more about her and the amazing work that she's done and she's still, consistently doing, I like that word, is to check her out on nerissagolden.com. So thank you, Nerissa, again for being with me today. Trust me, it was a very, very close to my heart topic, because I like to hear stories, I like to tell stories, and reaching out to you from across the globe was really a great, connect, which I did. So I'm very thankful that you agreed to be on my show, and I wish you all the luck, my dear.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. And this is just a wonderful time to be alive. And I want people to stay hopeful and to know that they can pursue all of their dreams. Don't be afraid. Just step out there and shine, because there's just a world of opportunity waiting. And it's the right time to start telling your story if you haven't yet.
Thank you, Nerissa, and I wish you all the very best. Good night, viewers, and I'll see you all very soon in yet another conversation series right here on Facebook at Sonalis Cubo. Bye-bye. Take care.